In a barren land of rocks and shrubs, a particularly resourceful people thrive, their caravans meandering over dunes and roads, serving as economic lifelines across the square. These people are the YADAKK, a race of friendly nomadic merchants who inhabit the Kali Plains. Food, treasures, supplies, and more flow from their many trade hubs along the sprawling network of roads and into the hands of other Polytopian tribes. All for a reasonable price, of course. Like the Luxador, the YADAKK are all about economics. But unlike the Luxador, they're not stingy about it. The YADAKK are a simple folk who like good stories, a good drink, and a good friend to share them with. They tend to get along fairly well with the other tribes, more or less, despite the occasional trade dispute now and then. Polytopians far and wide are always delighted to see those cute little fezzes on the horizon, and the menagerie of goods they bring with them. So, what started their trade empire? Nomadic YADAKK families and clans would often migrate in search of food and water, and over time, these groups started founding trade hubs in regions of high activity. As the YADAKK expanded, pathways were created, linking trade hubs, watering holes, religious sites, and so forth. The growing number of merchants, families, and religious pilgrims prompted the paving of these pathways with bricks made from local clay, transforming well-worn routes into efficient highways. The other factor that contributed to their economic ways is the use of the camel. Clad in stunning crimson fur and sporting a rack of magnificent antlers, the camel is a pack animal like no other. Often fed with locally abundant and nutrient-dense YADAKK fruits, camels are specially equipped to handle the rough climate with little sustenance. The humps on their backs can store a week's worth of calories and moisture, giving the camel enough time to find another watering hole. The combination of hardy durability, rugged persistence, and relatively low maintenance make the camel the perfect animal to get YADAKK merchants and their families from point A to point B with an ample supply of wares for trade. Modern-day YADAKK are still well connected with their road-building roots, as every trade hub has a district dedicated to churning out an infinite supply of bricks, with the YADAKK always finding new places to build roads. The process of road building is highly ritualized, as the builders themselves are specially trained craftspeople, and each brick is individually blessed by a priest of Tijan, the patron deity of the YADAKK. The trade hubs themselves are aligned with streets of merchants, schools, museums, temples, statues, and stables, as the YADAKK dedicate plenty to the academic, religious, and cultural needs of their people. But despite the interconnectedness of YADAKK lands, the Kali region is still a challenge to live in. Rocky terrain, minimal water sources, and an unforgiving desert climate that rapidly shifts between both temperature extremes make the area quite dangerous, as getting lost can easily doom even the most prepared traveler. Life in a merchant caravan isn't nearly as awful as the land itself, offering moments of camaraderie and joy amidst the barrens. The YADAKK understand the importance of downtime when the sun is set, and spend their resting time telling stories, feasting on what could be foraged during the day, and playing games. One of the more common pastimes that all YADAKK know is the local board game known as Jikish, which encourages participants to stay alert and log nearby points of interest, such as sources of food and water, landmarks for navigation, and places of shade to get out of the upcoming heat. Nighttime is also when YADAKK merchants brew and enjoy kaliz, a drink made from the kalzias fruit, which is known to change the pitch of the drinker's voice. This allows for the singing of traditional songs and chants to help pass the time as they march across a beautiful, but also rather boring landscape. Ultimately, trade is more than survival for the YADAKK. It's a bond that weaves together families, friends, and merchants across the square. And the YADAKK are happy to brave the harsh realities of their home to make new stories and a nice profit. Behind their bustling markets and well-traveled roads lies a complex web of power struggles and uneasy alliances. Unlike the other tribes, the political and military power of the YADAKK is divided into three main factions: the YADAKK Monarchy, the Horn Trading Company, and, to a lesser extent, the URKAZ syndicate. The YADAKK Monarchy is the cultural capital of the people, and to whom they swear their political and cultural allegiance. The Yadak royal family is deeply intertwined in the social, political, and religious aspects of their culture, and they lead their numerous subjects with a fair hand. The Horn Trading Company, or HTC, is the largest trade guild on the square and essentially runs the Yadakk's large trade network. Some like to say that the HTC is the real Yadak government, but it's a little more complicated than that. Their power grew as the trade routes did, and nowadays the vast majority of Yadak merchants do business under the HTC's guidance. The URKAZ syndicate are an underground criminal organization that opposes the other two, but we'll talk more about them in a moment. The Monarchy and the HTC have a tenuous relationship, but effectively co-rule the Yadak populace, as the HTC needs the hearts and minds of the people, while the Monarchy needs the money. Yeah, there's squabbles between the two, and the occasional skirmish between the Monarchy and HTC isn't uncommon, but for the most part they're on the same side, as they must work together to keep the trade empire stable. At least for now. They both have militaries, they both have loyalists, and they both have the means to wage war on the other. But that's not good for business, is it? As long as the two sides maintain a fragile peace, violence is minimized, the people are kept content, and the financial lifeblood of the trade empire flows through its many well-trodden veins. And now, it's time to talk about the URKAZ syndicate, the constant thorn in the sides of both the Yadak monarchy and the HTC. Headquartered in the Kali Highlands, the URKAZ make up the third faction vying for control of the Yadak populace, as they run underground operations right under everyone's metaphorical noses. Smuggling, racketeering, bribery, trafficking, counterfeiting, black marketeering, laundering, banditry, gambling, loan sharking, extortion, jaywalking, and far worse are run all over the square from their clandestine meeting places. No tribe wants to admit it, but everyone's done business with the URKAZ at some point, and the URKAZ never refuse a potential source of new leverage. Beyond their usual dealings, they raid HTC shipments and undermine the Monarchy, working in the resulting chaos. While the Monarchy and HTC may have their differences, both are united in the constant game of whack-a-mole of raiding and shutting down URKAZ outposts. But it doesn't matter. As people get threatened, officials get bribed, and another base will just pop up somewhere else. Their shady dealings may divide opinion, but their willingness to provide for the populace's hidden desires grants them a begrudging popularity with the common Yadak. Of course, none of the URKAZ's business is altruistic. It's all about the money and the power at the end of the day, and the URKAZ have no limits to what they'll do to carve a larger slice of the pie for themselves. The URKAZ often rely on the power of the Ordabeast, lumbering titans whose dense fur conceals illicit cargo with ease, a smuggler's dream, further cementing the URKAZ's dominance in the shadows. The only thing that the URKAZ manage that isn't illegal is the harvesting, processing, and export of the lezuz, a sour, bright green fruit that's native to the Kali Highlands. This fruit-based industry works as the financial fallback when the money isn't coming in like it should. And that's the story of the nomadic Yadak, a tale of harsh survival, lucrative trade, and confusing politics. Remember, may your caravans be swift, your trades prosperous, and your journeys blessed.